Right. I agree, setting my hooves down off the counter. It's fine, though. It'll all be fine. Yeah, you made a little mess in the bathroom. Probably should have showered in the first place, but that's not worth getting upset over. I take another slow, calming breath, and then turn to step into the shower. It has a sliding door made out of glass, and a smooth interior with far too many nozzles sticking out of the ceiling. At least it'll get the makeup off quickly. You've made a lot of progress today. You got yourself out of danger, charmed Rarity, and you even managed to save Green and I completely forgot about Barry! I leap out of the still dry shower and gallop halfway across the bedchamber before I realize I have no idea where I'm going, skidding to a halt in front of my room's main door. There's a button by the door. I could press it and... What? Call a servant? Or the wire doll to call Quick March. He could get Rarity. No, wait. She'll be in surgery now. But this is important. They could be handing Barry over to security any second now. I need to talk to her and say what? That I'd like to renegotiate our agreement after I've made it? That if she doesn't save Barry as well, I'll walk right past her guards, of course, because there's no way a pony from Vision would ever use force to get their way. It's not that bad. Rarity will understand, I say, turning away from the door, back to the study. I was distracted. We were in danger. It's totally understandable that I forgot about Barry. The door to the study swings open as I push through it and trot over to the desk. I mean, it's not like she ever talked much, right? I reach back to grab Quick March's token out of my belt, only to find my side bare and remember that it's still sitting curled next to the sink. I pulled back across the room, sliding into the bathroom, my hooves shaking unsteadily on the slick floor. She was always just kind of there and being Trixie's agent. It's not like she did anything memorable, other than that whole bit with the potion, but... I dash back across the way, belt hovering beside me. It's fine. It'll all be fine. I rip open the belt pouch with my magic, 2 pep bars, and a bottle of water spilling out onto the desk. I twist it around, looking down into the pouch, but nothing. I just put it there. How can it not be here? I didn't lose it in the last 10 minutes. I shake the belt out, like it might somehow make the token materialize and fall to the desk. But all that happens is I make myself look like I'm having a spastic fit. I rip open all the other pouches, pep bars and water and rolls of bandages tumbling onto the desktop. Quick March's token finally tumbles out of one of them, which isn't the one I put it in, landing on the desk with a heavy thump. I reach out, but it catches my hoof wrong, skittering across the desk and tumbling away behind it. Horse apples! I shout, my throat tight. My rear slumps to the ground, and my head to the surface of the desk, my voice sinking to a feeble whine. Horse apples, horse apples, horse apples, horse apples! My hoof bumps against the underside of the desk, making a little metallic clink. Of course! I've been wearing this thing for so long I forgot it was there. I pull my hoof up to the desk, going through the tokens slotted into the boot. Mine, Green, and Trixie! I pull the wand and star token out, scrambling over to the wire doll and reaching around to its flank. Trixie can break Barry out, and I don't have to look like an idiot in front of Rarity. Problem solved. The token slots into the doll's flank with a quiet click, and whatever mechanisms drive it start to spin up, producing a sharp whine that soon settles down into a steady hum. This doll is more elegant than the others, made from polished steel and silver, its sides adorned with beautiful filagerie like the cords of a dress saddle. The doll's legs twitch once, and its head rises. Trixie! I blurt out as soon as the doll is active. Thank goodness I was able to reach you. Barry's in trouble. The doll doesn't answer, casting its gaze left and right over the little study. Its motions are smooth, oiled. I guess she wants to make sure we're alone. Rarity caught her. She was injured, but she's going to be given to security as soon as she's healthy. There's still time to save her. The doll finishes examining the room and turns to stare at me, my coat reflected in its silver body and those glass eyes. Trixie? I ask. Maybe the doll is broken and she can't talk. The great and powerful Trixie is aware. She answers, haughty and superior like she always is. But there's something else there too, hidden behind those glass eyes. Her voice is too reserved. She's not as blustery as before. So you'll be breaking her out, right? Okay, she's upset with me. That's understandable. This must seem bad from her position, but she's all sorts of crime lord. She's totally got this one. I mean, you've got a ton of spies in security. One of them can let her go. No, Trixie answers, the doll's glittering eyes staring down at me from its high stand. Right, but you're just saying that because you think Rarity might be listening and you're really going to don't wire again, she orders, and her token pops out of the doll's flank, clattering to the floor. For a moment, the doll holds its pose, still staring down at me, but then the life leaves its eyes and it slumps on its stand. But, I murmur to the doll, you're only saying that because you think Rarity might be listening and you're really going to save her, right? The doll doesn't answer. My hooves are shaking when I reach under the desk. It takes a little feeling around, but I find Quick March's token. It hasn't cracked or anything. It's still good. For a second, I think it's blank, but then I turn it around to the right end. A sword and hoof prints. That would make sense. Quick March. Then I'll just wire him, and he'll get Rarity, and then I can save Barry. He can get her as soon as she's out of surgery, and we'll meet, and I'll explain that I made a mistake, and she'll commute Barry's sentence too. That should be easy enough for her. She's a mayor with a lot of power. I can totally convince her. I just need to meet her and say something. I try to say something, but no sound comes out. I can't find the right tone. Right now. It really doesn't matter what words you use if you can't find the right tone. It's all about how you say it. There's no point in talking to Rarity otherwise. I mean, I couldn't convince her of anything without the right tone. The words don't make much of a difference. I put the token on the desk. I should finish washing up, while I think. The shower is hot, and the water jets hit hard from every direction. The dye in my coat washes off almost instantly, but the makeup on my sides is stubborn, and even with the water blasting against it, I have to scrub until my scars burn to get it all off. Not meant to be cleaned with water. I take a little while to clean up the bathroom after. There are probably servants to do that, but it's polite, and I really made a mess. Then I go find my belt and put all the things back into it. That's good. It's neater. The cleaning up gives me some time to think. I mean, Barry is Trixie's top agent or something, right? Of course Trixie is going to save her, and asking Rarity to protect a pony who helped me is one thing, but asking her to bail out a criminal's top hench pony really would look bad. Besides, it's not like it's my fault that she got captured or got in trouble in the first place. She wasn't wanted because of anything I did. There's no need to risk my standing with Rarity over this. Barry will be fine. She'll be fine. Eventually, I make my way back to the main room. There's something there I didn't notice before, on the nightstand by the bed. It's a little mechanical figurine of one of those ponies in the diving suits, made out of some shiny metal. His legs have little joints full of gears, and he's on a tiny stand. He's positioned with all four legs splayed out, looking towards the door, like he was guarding the bed against intruders. I don't know how I missed that before. I don't suppose you know how to turn the lights off, I ask him. It's a little bright in here, and I'm very tired. He doesn't answer. That's fine, I guess. I slide under the covers and put my head on the pillow. For a while, I try to get used to the lights, but they seem to come from every direction, no matter how I turn my head. Finally, I roll over, cracking an eye open. You're right next to the bed, I tell the little brother. You either control the lights, or give me a glass of water. Which is it? He doesn't answer. Good night, then, I say, and I'm about to shut my eyes when I hear a little mechanical click. He lifts a foreleg, gracefully tucking it under himself. Then he bows to me, and the lights go out. The click of a latch, the squeak of hinges, a sliver of light shining across the room, making the bowing figurine glint. Miss Song? A voice calls out, a stallion's voice. Miss Song. He repeats, louder, his voice echoing off the smooth contours around me. Yes? I ask. It takes me a second to remember where I am, recognize who it is that's talking to me. Quick March. Is Rarity ready to see me now? She's been back for several hours. He answers, plainly. I attempted to wake you when she arrived, but you were unresponsive, and she decided it was best to let you sleep. If it suits you, Miss Apple is awake and fit to receive visitors, and Miss Rarity would like to see you at your leisure. Thank you, I say, forcing myself to sit up. If I don't get up now, I'll fall asleep again. My head is swimming besides, and my limbs feel heavy. Can you have some alfalfa and tea sent up? If that's what you want, Miss Song. He says. I open my eyes and immediately regret it, flinching in pain as I squeeze them shut. The light from the hall is blinding, so brilliant that it leaves dancing, flickering spots in my vision. I couldn't even see his outline, only a vaguely darker spot in the center of that painful radiance. If he sees my pain, though, he makes no comment on it. It's after 9, though. If you would prefer, I could have them bring you some seaweed juice instead. Is that like tea? I asked blearily. It will wake you up without keeping you up all night. He answers matter-of-factly. I'm used to tea. He nods and departs, shutting the door and leaving me in darkness. I just kind of sit there for a little while. I'm awake, and I know where I am, but I don't feel like getting up yet. With my eyes half open and half closed, I'm drifting somewhere between consciousness and dreaming. Drifting? Floating. Calm. Suddenly, my legs go tense, alert. I can feel my heart starting to race, adrenaline rushing through me. Something's wrong. My breath picks up, coming faster and faster as my hooves scramble over the bed. Good morning, I shout at the little doll, my voice rising in pitch. Rise and shine. Wake up. Time to get up. Lights on. My breath is coming in shallow gasps, and some instinct compels me to go up. Up. I need to go up. Time to scramble for anything to hold on to. My hoof touches the head of the bed, and I'm clinging to it like a life raft. Then I hear the little mechanical clicking, and the lights in the room start to come up. Brighter, brighter, until I'm squinting in the glare. My chest, my sides are trembling as I force myself to draw a slow breath. There's something poking into my sides. Wood, jamming against my ribs. I've somehow wrapped myself around the head of the bed at an impossible angle, all 4 of my legs twisted around it. I just need a second. I need a second to catch my breath. Slowly, gradually, my limbs relax until I can make myself let go, and I slump back to the bed, landing on top of the twisted sheets. Okay, Siren, had a bit of a nightmare. He fell asleep sitting up and had a nightmare. Yeah, had a bit of a nightmare there. Time to get up now. Getting ready makes me feel better, or it helps me calm down at least. There's a toothbrush and a few other things behind one of the mirrors. I guess I didn't realize how gross my mouth was getting, but when I start brushing, it's like I can taste all the brine water I've inhaled since I arrived here. It takes a good 3 brushings before I feel something like civilized again, and I'm no less obsessive with my mane. I still look awful, of course, with those burns and my shaved side and all the other stuff, but I make it work. Neutral position. I order the mirror, letting my tail come to attention as I lift one foreleg at a time. It's not really a pose you'd use for anything, but it works the kinks out of my joints, helping me practice the right arrangements. The hoof boot changes it a little, leaving me a tad asymmetric and putting an edge on things. It's stylish, though. I like it. A little swish of my tail affirms it's free of knots, making the end flick back and forth. Relaxed position, I order, letting my tail tuck between my legs. Guilty child meets parent number 3 fits that nicely, and I shoot the mirror an absolutely adorable glance, finding my lip and flicking my gaze up and down. Good. Alert position. I command, tail up, leg stiff, body forward, gaze tight. Outdoor voice. Yeah, that sounds good. Very authoritative. Right. By the time I'm done getting ready, the dumbwaiter has already arrived in the little kitchen space, carrying a plate of alfalfa, a teacup, milk, sugar, half a lemon, and a hot silver teapot. It's all sitting on a tray, and I levitate it over onto the tables as a set. The alfalfa smells fresh, and I can tell from the way it lies on the plate that it was made the traditional way. Haystacks, not bales. When I nibble on a piece, it doesn't taste quite right, though. It's good, but it's a hair too salty. While the agricultural systems that support the city theoretically replicate surface conditions exactly, in practice, salt levels in the resultant produce can vary by up to 15% between batches. This causes something to do with the wine, and the alfalfa as well, I suppose. I should have let her finish explaining. I'll get used to it, I guess. I unfold the paper on the table and pour a cup of tea, taking a moment to enjoy the smell before I take a sip. It's not bad. Need some lemon. The headline isn't very useful. HD prices rise amid Spec DL Act repeal. I try rereading the article, but the whole paper is written in the abbreviated shorthand. Not that it matters much. Without the proper context, I doubt I could understand it anyway. I try the other articles, but they aren't much better. I find the comics around page 6. They're a little funny. Some of them are even comics I know from Equestria. They draw the characters a little differently, and there's a fish outside the window instead of the sun. But it's the same old lack of humor. There's one comic that catches my eye at the bottom of the page. A single panel with a caption at the bottom. It shows two ponies facing each other, one of whom is instantly recognizable as Diamond Tiara. The other is a mare in a gaudy star-studded wizard hat, wrapped up in a cape held in place by a single-cut jewel. The mare in the hat seems to be offering Diamond Tiara a bottle with the label Doc Stable's Insomnia Cure. The caption reads, "Well, we haven't had any complaints yet." After a minute or two of mulling it over, I decided that political cartoons are stupid in any city and put the paper aside. It was a waste of time. I'm about done when I hear a knock on the door and Quick March's voice, muffled through the wood. "Miss Song, are you presentable?" "Yes, just a moment," I answer, gulping down the last of my tea. Sliding the tray back into the dumbwaiter seems to set off some mechanism. There's a series of clicks, a copper grate slides over it, and the dumbwaiter sinks out of view. After that, there doesn't seem to be much left to do. My belt is still on the nightstand by the bed. I won't need anything in it, but I don't think I wanted to leave it behind. The idea of going without it makes me feel vulnerable, weak. One of my teachers explained that to me once. The difference between being naked and having no clothes. It doesn't really matter much, though, and I do the belt up around myself quickly enough. "Enter," I call out, and the door slides open to let Quick March step inside. I catch myself glancing at his flank, now that I know what his actual cutie mark is. But the last few hours have failed to make the jumpsuit transparent, so all I see is a white fabric. If he catches me staring, he doesn't comment on it, politely waiting for me to acknowledge him. "Can I see green now?" "Of course, Miss Song. This way," he says, holding the door open for me with a wing and gesturing me out in the hall. "I hope you're feeling better." "A bit," I reply, non-committal, falling into step with him as we make our way through the bright, clean halls. He seems to know where he's going, and the layout of the building is simple enough that I'm not particularly worried about getting lost. "I was meaning to ask, were you in security before you worked for Rarity?" He shoots me a curious glance, and I clarify. "It's just that your cutie mark has a sword in it, and earlier, Rarity made a joke about how security ponies always use Mr. and Miss, like you do. But you said you never had another boss to compare Rarity to, so I was curious." "You're very observant, Miss Song," he says with a polite little smile. It's a little too stiff, though. He's hiding something. "But, no, I never worked for security." I'm not sure if it's a lie, but it's not the truth either. I could pry, but all ponies have their secrets, right? So it's bodyguard or something. That's fine. We don't talk much for the rest of the journey there, making our way through long, gently curving corridors. Eventually, the hallways start to feel less palace and more hospital, although they never lose that brilliant, sterile shine. We pass ponies on stretchers, doctors and nurses, doors with windows so we can see the ponies within, bandaged and laid back in bed. The air starts to smell sharp, like soap with antiseptics, and the dazzling silence of the upper levels is replaced by a buzz of activity. Ponies talking, shouting, fiddling with equipment, crying out in pain, trying to maneuver around each other in the halls. Then we push through a large set of double doors, and the sounds of the hospital are suddenly muted. We're in a short hallway, only 4 doors along it, isolated from the rest of the building. There's a desk here, with a guard behind it. His uniform is white, but those hoof knives are pretty distinctive. He jerks his head up sharply when we enter, but then relaxes, putting away the book he was reading.
"Quick, ma'am."
He greets my guide and me in turn.
"Need any help?"
"Yes, thank you. Miss Song would like to see Miss Apple, if you could." "I can manage on my own, thank you," I say, pointing to the door at the end of the hall. It's the only one that has a clipboard and notes tucked into the little slot under the window. "Through there, right?"
"Yes,"
the guard says. I nod and trot past him before he can go on, and lift the clipboard out of the holder on the door. I pretend to read it for a moment, long enough that Quick and the guard staring will be plausibly conspicuous. Then I glance back, like I'd just remembered they were standing there. "You don't have to wait for me, March. I might be a little while." He does hesitate for a moment, glancing at me and the guard. He couldn't outright refuse me, but perhaps he might lurk in the hallway or nearby, letting the guard know to alert him. He comes to a decision quickly enough, though, and he nods his head.
"As you wish. Miss Rarity is seeing to one of her new projects at the moment. She's in the reflecting room. You can give Miss Song directions?"
He asks the guard, who nods.
"Good luck, then,"
Quick March says before excusing himself and stepping away. Allowed to wander around without an escort. A point in Rarity's favor. The clipboard is still beside me when I step through the door. There's not much to the room. It's small and cramped and sterile and safe. Wretchedly safe. There's a bed, a chair, a counter, a sink, one of those glass covers to keep water away, but I don't see a single edge to the entire room. Everything is rounded corners, the glass is well out of reach, the bed is covered in layering so soft it's like foam, and everything is so clean it gleams. The only color in the whole space is the hideous poster on the wall, showing some grinning pink earth pony with a puffy mane reminding us that a smile makes everything better. Well, it's not really the only color in the room. There's me. And green. She's kind of bleached. I guess I've never seen her without her makeup on. She's obviously been scrubbed clean, her face free of her usual highlights, her coat and mane still a mess. She's strapped to the bed, all wrapped up in those puffy restraints, like manacles made from cotton. They look so fragile that it seems like she'd be able to tear out of them with a stiff breath, but I don't think so. Even her horn is wrapped up in some kind of padding, a steel cap on the end to stop her from using her magic. Completing her bindings is a blindfold over her eyes, a sign above the bed reading, "Warning, hypnosis. Do not remove blindfold. If patient complains of eye pain or if blindfold appears ajar, contact on-call physician immediately." I just kind of stare for a while. I put the clipboard down by the door, and I stare, watching her twist in her restraints, hearing the little brushing sound as her tail flicks back and forth under her. "Who's there?" She calls out, her voice shaky. I almost don't answer. My stomach feels like a pit, my throat tight and burning. She sounds so meek, so frightened. But I have to say something, don't I? "It's me, Green," I say, stepping up to the bedside. She lets out a startled squeak and starts to struggle violently. The foam bonds around her seem to flow like water, stretching and sliding around her so that no matter how she twists, she can't lift herself out of them. "Green! Green, it's okay! It's okay!" I urge, rising up on my hind legs and putting a hoof on the bed's edge, reaching out to steady her with the other. "Green, it's okay. I'm right here." My leg meets hers, and I take her by the ankle. I can't exactly restrain her with a hoof, but feeling me there gets her attention. She's still panicked, but now she reaches out to me with all four legs, wrapping herself around my hoof and ankle as much as her bonds will allow. It's mostly her forelegs, really. The rest can't quite reach. "Siren?" she asks, her hoof traveling up and down my leg for a moment. What's she doing? "Is it really you?" "Of course it's me, Green. Everything is what happened when I found you in my apartment," she demands, sharp and suspicious. I can hear the tremor in her voice, but even when she's completely helpless, she still has that edge to her. It's beautiful in a dark sort of way, something wild and honest instead of her usual cultured appearance. "Describe everything we did and said." "I woke up, you'd been tending to me. I thought you were a doctor. I made myself at home in your apartment and rifled through your things, and then you came home and I hid in your bathroom stall," I explained, keeping my voice calm and soothing. "Then you hypnotized me and pretended not to enjoy having another pony fawning over your humble self. It's not really funny, and under the circumstances, I can't even manage a joking tone. My throat hurts too much." She seems to calm down a little, though, holding my leg against her. "I'm so glad you're okay," she says, her voice cracking, her face all scrunched up behind that blindfold. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You weren't supposed to end up here. Green, it's okay. Everything is going to be all right," I repeat, keeping the words soft and reassuring. It's a bit awkward, but I reach out with my other hoof to pat her side through the covers all around her. "No, sweetheart. No, it's not going to be okay. Now I need you to listen to me and do exactly as I tell you." Her voice is urgent and quick. "Do you remember that thing you did at Dr. Stable's? That thing that made Barry look so silly?" "What? What's she talking about?" "I need you to do that now. You understand? Just the way you did before." "You mean run away on my own?" "Don't say it!" She snaps, trying to yank me towards her. She can't get a good grip, though. The bonds won't let her, and her hooves slip down my leg. "Don't ever say anything in the pavilion that goes against her. Not when you're alone, not so much as a whisper. She always knows. She knows, and she doesn't like it." She's so tense, she's shaking. There's not even anything I can say to that. All I can do is reach out to her side and make soothing noises until the tremors subside. "Okay, Green. I hear you," I say to her. "I won't say anything I'm not prepared for Rarity to hear. I promise. You have to wait until she's out in the city.
Green whispers, her rear legs tucked in against her. She's different there. She can't keep it all straight in her head at once. Sometimes she misses things. You could escape then. She'll have heard me say that, made sure that there are guards around you whenever she's away. But they're only ponies, and you're very brave, Siren. You can do what you need to do, right? I don't know what to say to that. What can I say to that? My legs feel stiff. My motions are mechanical and rote. My brain goes ahead without me, and I mutter, "Of course, Green," in the most bland tone of reassurance. It's wholly unconvincing, and Green knows it. I can see her curl up a little tighter. My breath isn't coming easy. All wound up inside me. Why are, I start. You in restraints? Because you're obviously ready to strangle the doctors with their own stethoscopes to get out of here. Because they're afraid you're going to hurt yourself. Because no matter how scared you are, you're still a murderer. That was a stupid question, Siren. The restraints. I push against them with a hoof. They aren't causing you any pain, are they? I mean it, Siren! She snaps, her voice surging with anger even as it retains that wounded tremor. Don't you patronize me! What am I supposed to say to that, huh? I demand, and now I'm shouting as well. She's a clever pony with some goons, not Sombra's ghost! Oh, because y'all... Her voice chokes up for a second, and she seems to spit the words. Because you know so much! She snaps the line out, snide and bitter. You don't know the city. You don't know her. So tell me, she's a sorceress or something? Listening in on us with her dark powers. Is that what you're saying, Green? She doesn't answer, curling up tighter. Well, I don't know. She squeaks. Quiet. All that anger has faded as quickly as it came, but it'll be back, coming and going in waves, like a frightened animal lashing out. What do you mean you don't know? I ask, trying to keep my voice even.